Okay fam, it's time to address the hard conversation. We have to address the elephant in the room. The quiet part must be spoken aloud, because even though Embark currently has no plans for wipes upon release, this begs the question, what is the endgame? That's the reason wipes exist in the first place, right? To provide a sustainable endgame, something that gives players a reason to come back over and over again. So if Embark decides to jump fully into this concept of progression over wipes, then they have to dig deep. We're talking about something that could be genre defining here. One idea I want to put out there right away: intentional boss fights tied to extraction. Think of Division's survival. The Hunter made the end memorable. They made it dangerous. Now imagine if ArcRaiders leaned into that. At extraction, you could have the choice: take your loot and leave safely, or engage a high-risk boss encounter. Maybe a Bison, a Bastion, or something even bigger. You wouldn't have to fight it, but if you do, it becomes the catalyst for exclusive loot you can't get anywhere else. That's the type of system that transforms a loop into an endgame. But I have more solutions, okay? And I hope the devs are listening, because this must be known. So please, you can help by liking and hyping the video so it can be spread and reach as many people as possible. Now, ArcRaiders has one undeniable strength. PvP is already unpredictable by design. Every raid is different, and you don't know if the next player you run into will wave, ignore you, or turn hostile and ambush you. That social tension, the psychological gamble, is a natural replay loop that doesn't require wipes to keep it alive. Losing your loot is punishment enough, while surviving an extraction is its own reward. But here's the potential problem: unpredictability alone isn't enough to sustain an endgame. The Division survival mode is the perfect case study for how PvP and PvE together can create a sustainable endgame loop. Survival worked because it immersed players into a hostile environment that felt like it wanted you dead. The snowstorm wasn't just for show, like environmental storytelling. It was an active threat. Freezing to death was always a possibility, and the tiny safe houses with the flickering barrels that provided warmth gave you fleeting hope. And you weren't only fighting NPCs and players, you were fighting the world itself. And then, at the end of your run, you had to face the Hunters before extracting. These weren't simply tough enemies. Anybody who's played the Division series knows what the Hunters are about. They're souped up with everything that you're souped up with and more. It felt like you were playing against another player, not an NPC. They were extraction gatekeepers that could literally end your run at the finish line, no matter how prepared you thought you were. That pressure is what made every survival run unforgettable, because the hardest fight was reserved for the very last moment. Now, this is the advantage of ArcRaiders, because it already has incredibly tough enemies, Bisons, Bastions, and more, not to mention the AI learning and unpredictability they offer when encountering them. But right now, they're just roaming threats, not intentional bosses. Imagine if Embark leaned into this and made certain enemies the equivalent of Hunters, foes that spawn only when you try to extract, forcing you into a climactic fight before you can leave. Or, like I said in the intro, make it optional. You could skip it and leave with your loot, or risk it all to earn exclusive rewards that justify the danger. ArcRaiders already has the foundation for this in its enemy design. The difference would be making it an intentional system, because where ArcRaiders does excel is in its constant ambush potential from NPCs. The Arcs are ever present and can strike without warning. That, combined with unpredictable players, scratches part of the same itch, but there's a difference. In Division survival, the PvP encounters weren't the end of the road. They were woven into a larger in-game economy. Every piece of gear or weapon you extracted successfully had value beyond that mode. You can take it into the Dark Zone, into Last Stand, into PvE missions. On top of that, survival exclusive rewards like the Urban MDR exotic rifle gave every run long-term meaning. That exclusivity made every extraction feel special. Now, compare that to ArcRaiders. After you extract, what happens? Well, right now, it seems like all you've got is crafting, collecting, bartering, and then repeating the same loop. And without exclusive gear or progression systems that carry weight outside the raid, it risks becoming a simulator of the loop itself. Fun for a while, but hollow in the long term. So the real question for Embark is, what does ArcRaiders give you from a raid that you can't get anywhere else? Because without exclusivity, without rewards that echo into the broader experience, it risks hitting a ceiling fast. PvP may be engaging, okay, I'm a proponent of that, but on its own, it's just not enough. It just isn't. But let's pivot a little bit, okay, to make this go even deeper. I have more ideas, and you can chime in as well. Because this is where ArcRaiders has untapped potential, PvE potential. The Arc enemies aren't filler NPCs, we know that. Their designs are intricate, their lore runs deep, and there's room to build whole modes around them. Imagine global events where the Arcs launch invasions and safe zones. We're already forced underground, but perhaps make an entrance that's not so far underground, but that's more accessible, more safe. But then intel was leaked to the Arc, enabling them to find that location, and it has to be defended. That way it forces players to defend this key outpost for exclusive rewards. Imagine raid style encounters against Arc war machines that demand coordination, tactics, and we're going to touch on that because the coordination with clans will be amazing. But night raids already exist. What if night raids had exclusive loot pools that couldn't be found anywhere else? Suddenly there's a reason to brave the darkness beyond just bragging rights. These PvE missions could offer meaningful rewards that cross over into other modes like Division's survival did. And here's another layer ArcRaiders could add: a clan system. Give players a reason to band together, not just socially but structurally, completing objectives, defending territories, or taking on difficult missions as a clan could reward exclusive XP, gear, or cosmetics that show off group achievement. A thriving clan structure gives longevity to games like this because players are tied not only to progression but to community. To push this even further, imagine a last stand style mode. Man, this was genius. This was something that Division did that was loved by so many players. They took sections of the Dark Zone and turned them into PvPvE battlegrounds. By the way, if you don't know what the Dark Zone is, it was a revolutionary area that was introduced in 2016 when Division was first introduced in that Christmas trailer. It was an area that was hostile. It allowed you to attack players, betray your squad mates. It was just a gritty area that people loved to populate. And to this day, people talk about how controversial it was. The developers made a lot of changes because of that. But I think that controversial aspect is what made it so popular. It allowed people to be themselves, whether it be evil or good. But what they did was took sections of the Dark Zone and turned them into PvPvE battlegrounds where players fought over terminals. They made it kind of organized, A, B, and C sections, while still dealing with dangerous NPCs. It wasn't extraction, it was territory control with a point system that kept the pressure high. ArcRaiders could absolutely benefit from something similar. Picture maps, the maps that we have already in ArcRaiders, where clans face off for control points, battling both enemy players and Arc threats. But get this, lower difficulty maps could be swarmed by ticks, wasps, or drones, like, the lower tier enemies, while higher tiered maps unleash the full roster: bastions, bisons, rocketeers, queens, all mixed together. Players would choose their risk level, low, medium, or high, and the higher the risk, the greater the reward. That's the kind of system that transforms ArcRaiders from one node extraction loop into a living ecosystem. PvP, PvE, clans, and exclusivity all working together to keep people engaged for the long haul. Now, we know that video games aren't supposed to sustain people forever. Everything gets old, but sometimes developers make systems that are so great, people just come back to them for years, decades. Counter-Strike is an example, and you know better than me. But my full takeaway is that this is tough love. And I'm only raising these questions because they need to be asked. I've seen too many games launch with hype, only to fade a month later because there was no meaningful endgame. And I don't want ArcRaiders to fall in that trap. So here's where you come in. If you got ideas for what Embark could do to make ArcRaiders endgame truly sustainable, drop them in the comments below. Share your suggestions, share this video, hype it, and let's spread awareness so that devs can see that this community isn't only excited, we're invested. I mean, that's clear, isn't it? We want this game to last. So anyways, I appreciate you listening to me until the end. If you made it all the way here, this conversation was a little bit long-winded, but it was on my mind, it was on my chest, and I wanted to get it out. And there it is. So let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. I've been appreciating all the support, and I will be playing ArcRaiders and making content extensively on it. So I appreciate it. If you liked the video, and subscribe to my channel, join the family, and I'll see you in Speranza. Be right out.